Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today, we're going into a case that's both a really chilling mystery and honestly a stark reminder of some hidden dangers. We're looking at the 2014 disappearance of 17-year-old Angie Dean from Camas, Washington. It's quite the story.
It really is. And for this deep dive, our understanding comes from some compelling sources.
Yeah.
We're talking about Angie's own writings, which are incredibly unsettling, plus official police statements and some critical eyewitness accounts. It pieces together a very perplexing puzzle.
Right. So our mission today is really to unpack the layers of this story for you. We'll go from Angie's own, disturbing premonitions right through to an unexpected resolution that, frankly, still leaves some big questions just hanging there. Okay, let's get into this. So June 23rd, 2014. Angie, who is known as a diligent student, a cheerleader, she vanishes from her home.
Which is a huge shock. But really unsettling part. It seems Angie herself had these incredibly dark forebodings about what might happen.
Yeah, tell us about that. The diary, right?
Exactly. Her diary was found under her bed. And in letters she'd written to her family, she actually said, "If you are reading this, I am either missing or dead."
Wow.
And then even more chillingly, she wrote, "When or if you find me, I will be all used up or dead."
Yeah.
I mean, these weren't just random teenage thoughts. It strongly suggested she knew she was in some kind of grave danger.
Those specific words, all used up. They're particularly haunting, aren't they? In the context of human trafficking, what does language like that usually signal? It feels like it points to a really deep sense of powerlessness, something way beyond typical teenage drama.
You've really hit on a critical point there. Language like all used up, or sometimes you hear can't get out of this.
Yeah.
It often signals that a victim feels completely dehumanized without any agency. That's a hallmark of coercive control in trafficking situations.
Coercive control.
Yeah, it's not always about physical change. It's psychological grooming. It's threats against people they love, creating this situation where the victim genuinely believes escape is impossible. It's definitely not typical teenage stuff.
Yeah. And she'd also sent these secret messages to her boyfriend just before she vanished, saying she was involved in something serious and that people were threatening her family.
Right. And the circumstances around her actual disappearance were suspicious too. She left behind her wallet, bank cards, even her glasses. Essential personal items.
But she took a phone.
A secret mobile phone, yeah. One her parents didn't know about. And just hours before she went missing, a neighbor saw her getting out of an old blue Volvo. There were several other people inside the car.
Okay, so that immediately made her family and the police suspect the worst, didn't it? Human trafficking.
Exactly.
And maybe we should clarify for folks listening, human trafficking isn't just about forcing people across borders, is it? Could you expand on what it actually covers and how Angie's situation seems to fit?
Absolutely. Broadly speaking, human trafficking involves using force, fraud, or coercion to exploit individuals. That could be for labor or for commercial sex acts. Angie's scenario, with those direct threats to her family, the secret communications, this feeling she expressed of being involved in something she couldn't get out of, it's a classic example of that kind of insidious coercion and manipulation. It fits the definition perfectly.
And the case understandably grabbed national media attention then.
Oh, definitely. Her mother, Linda Jorgensen, she spoke out quite a bit, detailing Angie's distressed state and those really terrifying confessions Angie had apparently made to friends. The intensity for that family, it must have been unbearable.
The idea that she knew she was in danger beforehand is just profoundly unsettling. But, how does law enforcement differentiate something like this, these genuine threats, from maybe, typical teenage angst or hyperbole, especially when they first get a report? What were the red flags in her writings and messages that immediately screamed something more sinister?
Well, that's a really crucial distinction they have to make. In cases like Angie's, it often comes down to consistency. The premonitions weren't just in one place. They were in her diary, in messages, in which she apparently told friends. Combine that consistency with the specific, escalating nature of the threats she mentioned and the very abrupt way she disappeared, leaving behind all those essential items. Well, those are major red flags. Those elements together signal something far beyond typical adolescent issues.
Right, it paints a very different picture. It truly was intense. But then the story shifts, doesn't it? After 2 weeks of this intense searching, July 9th, 2014...
she was found, alive and unharmed, at the Clackamas Town Center in Oregon.
And it was because of a tip.
Yes, a tip from a woman named Jennifer. That was the turning point. Jennifer told the police she'd spent a few days with a girl who called herself Daisy.
Daisy, who was actually Angie.
Correct. And Daisy, or Angie, admitted to Jennifer that she was in a bad situation and needed to get out. She even said she knew people were probably looking for her and mentioned being forced to do things she didn't want to do.
So that specific information was key for the police.
Absolutely. It was actionable intelligence that led them right to her.
So Angie's reunited with her family, which is, the best possible outcome in that sense. But then officials made a pretty significant public statement, didn't they?
They did. Police Sergeant Kevin Allais confirmed their initial fears weren't unfounded. He stated, this is an active investigation that includes a crime related to human trafficking.
Yeah.
So there it was. Confirmation.
Confirmation of trafficking. Now, obviously, without compromising an active investigation, why are these cases often so difficult to prosecute, especially when you have a minor involved and privacy is paramount? What are some of the usual hurdles?
Oh, it's incredibly challenging. Prosecuting human trafficking, particularly with minors, is really complex. You often have victims who are deeply traumatized, maybe groomed, which can make them reluctant or too fearful to cooperate fully. Plus, the evidence often hinges on proving subtle coercion, not just obvious physical force. And then you add in the absolute necessity to protect a minor's privacy and their future. Well, it often means that even if arrests are made or the investigation continues, public disclosure is very limited.
And here's where it gets kind of frustrating if you're following the story from the outside, because that statement is largely where the public story just ends.
Pretty much. To protect her privacy as a minor, no further details were released. We don't know what exactly happened to her during those 2 weeks. We don't know who the people in that blue Volvo were, or if anyone was ever actually brought to justice for it.
So Angie was found, thankfully, which is huge. But the full truth, what really went on during those 2 weeks, it remains largely shrouded in mystery. It leaves so many critical questions just hanging there.
Indeed. And it makes you think, doesn't it? What is Angie Dean's story? With those chilling diary entries, the official nod to human trafficking, and then the public silence. What does it tell us about the hidden dangers that can, lurk just beneath the surface of everyday life? And what about that delicate balance between the public's right or need to know and the absolute imperative to protect a vulnerable individual, especially a minor? It raises a pretty important question for all of us, I think. How do we reconcile those things? And what responsibility does that put back on communities, on all of us, really, to recognize and maybe report potential warning signs?
That's definitely something to mull over. Thanks for diving deep with us on this complex and pretty sobering case today.